Imagine it's 5:00 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Okay.
Somewhere out there, you've got a tech billionaire probably, lowering themselves into a custom-built cold plunge pool.
Oh, absolutely. Getting ready to film a video about hacking their morning routine, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But 1,000 miles away from all that, in a town called Kingfisher, Oklahoma, there's an HVAC technician named Dave Hartzell. And he's just sitting quietly in the cab of his work truck.
Just sitting there.
Yeah. He isn't trying to optimize his biorhythms. He's not trying to, crush the universe or whatever.
Right.
He is simply executing a survival tactic.
Which, honestly, is such a necessary perspective shift for this topic. I mean, usually the whole concept of the 5 a.m. wake-up is totally monopolized by, hustle culture life coaches.
Oh, yeah. The Silicon Valley Manifestos?
Exactly. But our source material for this deep dive is refreshingly different. We're looking at the personal notes of a man with 45 years of experience in the heating and air conditioning trade.
45 years. That's a long time.
It really is. And Dave operates a super demanding service business in a small town. He doesn't have an online course to sell you.
Right.
He's just sharing the actual mechanics of how he manages to keep his head above water when the world is just, constantly demanding his time.
And that distinction completely changes the entire mission of our deep dive today.
Yeah.
Because we are going to completely bypass the self-help hype.
Thankfully.
Yeah, right. Instead, we're using Dave's reflections to look at the actual psychology and really the biology of preparation. We want to show you what claiming that first hour actually does to your brain before the rest of the world even has a chance to claim your attention.
Right, because getting up at dawn isn't just about logging an extra hour to answer emails. We're going to decode the underlying mechanics of this habit.
Which is so much deeper than just productivity.
Oh, totally. It triggers this very specific psychological cascade. We're talking about self-regulation, cognitive load, and this really interesting thing researchers call psychological ownership.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because we look at Dave's track record. He has been doing this consistently for his entire adult life.
Right, decades.
Yeah, not just for a couple of weeks after making some New Year's resolution.
Exactly.
So if self-regulation is essentially just, forcing yourself to do things when you really don't want to do them, what is the actual biological payoff?
That makes our brains willing to endure that discomfort.
Yeah. Are people who wake up at 5 a.m. just naturally masochistic? Because people assume early risers just possess this superhuman love for the grind.
Or they somehow enjoy the sound of a blaring alarm in pitch darkness.
Right. Which sounds awful.
It does. But the research Dave points to completely debunks that idea. It isolates a very specific psychological trait, and it has absolutely nothing to do with enjoying suffering.
Okay.
The mechanism at play here is self-regulation. Biologically speaking, self-regulation is your prefrontal cortex, which is the logical planning part of your brain successfully overriding your limbic system.
And the limbic system is the primitive part, right?
Exactly. It's the part that's screaming for immediate comfort. So self-regulation is the ability to manage your behavior toward a future goal, even when the present moment is forcefully pulling you back toward the pillow.
Man, I was trying to conceptualize how that actually feels in practice for you or me. And it seems like the difference between waiting for the weather to be perfectly sunny to go for a run.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Right. Versus simply putting on a raincoat and going anyway.
Yes.
Motivation is waiting for the sunshine. You're waiting for external conditions or your internal feelings to align perfectly.
Which might never happen.
Exactly. But self-regulation is grabbing the raincoat, fully knowing it's raining and you are going to get wet, but stepping out the door regardless.
And the real danger comes when people mistake one for the other.
Yeah.
Because relying on motivation means you're waiting for an emotional state.
That might just, never arrive.
Exactly. If you wake up and wait to feel motivated to tackle a really difficult day, the work simply won't get done. You'll just stay in bed. What Dave highlights is that self-regulating individuals act first, and they let the feelings catch up later.
Or honestly, maybe the feelings never catch up at all.
Yeah, that's true too.
You can put on the raincoat, go for the run, and feel miserable the entire time. The sunshine never breaks through the clouds. But the crucial part is that the run still happened.
The work gets done either way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you separate your actions from your immediate emotional state, the 5 a.m. wake-up stops being an act of self-punishment.
It becomes an exercise in emotional maturity.
Yes. You stop fighting the alarm clock and you start managing your own outcomes.
Which introduces a pretty compelling question, right? Why subject yourself to the raincoat in the first place?
Yeah, why be uncomfortable?
Why choose to endure that when staying in bed is obviously the path of least resistance? The research categorizes the driver behind this choice as future-oriented thinking.
Let's break down how future-oriented thinking actually operates in the brain. Because, I mean, making a decision at 5 a.m. is inherently flawed if you are only considering how you feel at 5 a.m.
Exactly the opposite. The 5 a.m. decision isn't being made for the present moment at all.
Right.
Because your limbic system only understands now,
Yeah.
and now just wants to stay under a warm blanket until 6:30 a.m.
Oh, yeah. Every time.
But future-oriented thinking requires your brain to simulate a scenario hours down the line. You are making the choice for 9 a.m. You're making it for noon.
You're anticipating.
Right. You're making a strategic decision based on the state of mind you want to possess later in the day, rather than the physical comfort you want right now.
And if you paint the picture of days 9 a.m., that necessity becomes blindingly obvious. Like, imagine a hot July morning in Oklahoma.
Oh, brutal.
Right, by 8 a.m., Dave already has 3 emergency calls queued up. He's a technician out on a job needing direction. He has a frantic customer on the phone demanding a free estimate for a blown-out system.
And it just piles up.
The day accelerates from 0 to 100 in minutes. The phone starts ringing at 7 a.m. This means the hour before that quiet window at dawn is the solitary hour that actually belongs to him.
What's fascinating here is this is where we run into the concept of psychological ownership.
Psychological ownership, okay.
Yeah, the human brain craves autonomy. The psychological benefit of waking up early isn't actually about productivity. It is fundamentally about control and really reducing cognitive load.
How does that work?
Well, when you wake up to a ringing phone or an immediate demand, your body instantly produces a spike in cortisol, the stress hormone.
Oh, wow. So you're instantly stressed.
Exactly. You are launched directly into a reactive fight-or-flight state.
Yeah.
But when you own the first hour, you establish a calm baseline. Nobody is calling you into their emergency. The territory is yours.
Let me challenge this idea, though, because I think a lot of people listening might share this skepticism.
Sure. What is it?
If you spend your morning perfectly planning a day,
Yeah.
and then the first call at 7:30 a.m. completely blows up your schedule, doesn't that rigid planning just create more frustration?
That's a fair point.
Like, you've essentially built this decaled sandcastle just to watch the tide destroy it immediately. Doesn't trying to exert total control over an unpredictable service job just backfire and cause more stress?
It's a very natural assumption to make, but Dave's lived experience completely refutes it.
Really?
Yeah. He freely admits that things constantly go sideways in the HVAC business. You tear into a unit and find problems you didn't expect, or the supply house is out of the part you need.
Or you hit terrible traffic.
Exactly. His goal in the morning isn't to create an unbreakable, rigid schedule to prevent chaos. That's impossible. His goal is to establish his own footing.
Okay.
There is a massive biological difference between confronting chaos when you have had an hour to ground yourself versus confronting chaos when you woke up 10 minutes late and are just scrambling to find your boots.
Oh, I see the distinction. The former, facing chaos when you are grounded, is manageable. Your baseline stress is low enough that you can absorb the hit.
Right, you have a buffer.
But the latter, facing chaos, when you are already experiencing a cortisol spike from rushing out the door, that is what buries you.
Precisely.
So you aren't mapping out the day to make it perfect. You're anchoring yourself so you have the resilience to survive the imperfections.
That's exactly it.
So what does this grounding process actually look like in the real world? Because Days gives us a very clear look inside the cab of his truck.
He does. He takes us step by step through his morning. So he's up before the sun, the coffee is poured, and he is sitting in his truck in that pre-dawn quiet.
Just him in the truck?
Yeah. He's pulling up his schedule on his tablet using House Call Pro, his management software. He's reviewing who is assigned to which location. He's mentally running through the inventory, anticipating what specific parts might be needed for the older AC units on his list.
He is even working through a bizarre mechanical problem a customer called about the previous afternoon. Like he's diagnosing it in his head before he ever steps foot on their property.
It's like mental chess.
Yeah. Or honestly, I think a better analogy is a professional chef engaging in mise en place.
Oh, that's perfect.
Right. He is chopping the vegetables, organizing the spices, prepping the station. He knows the dinner rush is going to be absolute chaos. But because everything is in its place, when the tickets start printing, he doesn't have to think.
Muscle memory just takes over.
Exactly. Preparation takes over.
And that is the perfect way to articulate the difference between a proactive state and a reactive state. Dave is in a proactive posture. He's thinking, preparing, and moving entirely on his own terms.
Versus the alternative.
Right. Contrast that with the reactive state. Hitting the snooze button repeatedly, jolting awake, instantly scrolling through emails the second your eyes open.
Ugh. The worst feeling.
It is. You're rushing into the world already playing defense.
And the research Dave weaves into his notes points out that the state you adopt in that first hour basically dictates your emotional tone for the entire day.
It sets the baseline.
Yeah. A proactive start actively builds something.
Yeah.
It generates momentum and, really, self-trust. But a reactive start simply burns fuel.
You're just trying to catch up.
You are spending immense cognitive energy just trying to figure out what is happening and catching up to a day that started without you.
Which brings us to perhaps the most profound psychological shift Dave discusses in his notes. Because these routines do way more than just organize a schedule. They actually forge your identity.
Forge your identity.
Yeah. And he doesn't mean identity in a soft, purely philosophical sense. He means it as empirical data.
Oh, so?
Well, when you start your day with intentional, unclaimed work before the world demands anything of you, you are generating concrete evidence for your own brain about the kind of person you are.
Oh, wow. I love that. So you aren't just standing in the mirror repeating affirmations about being capable and disciplined.
Right. No fake it till you make it.
You have already gathered hard proof. You have already taken territory. You carry the quiet confidence of that victory into the very first stressful phone call.
Exactly. But I want to pause us here for a second, because there is a massive trap we need to avoid, and honestly, it's the elephant in the room for you listening.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. What if you biologically despise mornings? What if the mere thought of trying to forge your identity at 5 a.m. makes you feel physically ill?
Does this mean you're just doomed to live a chaotic, reactive life forever?
Right.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This is where Dave includes what he calls the honest part. And it is so refreshing because he completely abandons the typical hustle culture judgment.
He really does.
Dave acknowledges the actual science of circadian rhythms. Human biology varies drastically. Chronotypes are a real thing.
Very real.
There are people who genuinely biologically function at a higher level in the later hours of the day. Their melatonin release cycles are simply shifted.
And the scientific literature supports this unequivocally. Night owls are not inherently lazy or undisciplined.
Thank you. Let's say that louder for the people in the back.
Right. Their sleep pressure and biological clocks are just calibrated differently. If you are a night owl, forcing yourself into a 5 a.m. mold isn't building discipline. It is literally fighting your own physiological baseline.
And this realization completely flips the script on the entire concept. Because Dave recognizes that the magic of his morning routine was never actually about the literal hour of 5 a.m.
The clock time is entirely irrelevant.
Exactly. The underlying principle is about claiming your first hour of clear, unclaimed mental energy before the world can contaminate it.
So, if your biological reality dictates that you are a night owl, maybe your sanctuary doesn't exist at dawn.
Right.
Maybe your house finally goes quiet at 10 p.m., the kids are asleep, the group chats have finally died down, the email inbox is stagnant. Nobody needs a single thing from you.
It's just you.
If that is when you experience your first hour of completely unburdened, proactive mental energy, then the 10 p.m. hour is your 5:00 a.m.
The fundamental mistake for you listening is not sleeping past sunrise. You do not need to force yourself into a schedule that makes your body miserable.
Please don't.
The real mistake is failing to carve out that unclaimed hour at all. Because if you never stake a claim on that quiet time, whether it happens at dawn or at midnight, you guarantee that your day will perpetually begin in the middle of someone else's emergency.
And as Dave observes, constantly living as a supporting character in everybody else's urgency is just an exhausting way to exist.
It sounds awful.
You never get to be the author of your own decisions. You are perpetually responding to the environment rather than shaping it.
So what does this all mean? When we synthesize 45 years of Dave Hartzell's lived experience in the trenches of the HVAC trade with the psychological mechanics we've explored, the core takeaway becomes incredibly clear.
It really does.
Dave closes his notes with a powerful observation from the field. He states that his worst service calls the jobs that take too long, where the diagnosis is wrong, or where the interaction with the customer is just, strained.
Yeah.
They do not happen because he suddenly forgot how to fix an air conditioner. They aren't due to a lack of technical skill.
The bad calls invariably happen when he starts the day behind. When he's 2 jobs deep, skipped his morning preparation, and allowed his day to become entirely reactive from the very moment he woke up.
He arrives at the house unsettled.
Exactly. And the customer can practically feel that anxious, rushed energy radiating off him.
Conversely, his best calls, the ones where he's calm, efficient, and completely ahead of the mechanical problem, are simply the byproduct of preparation.
Yep.
He walks through the customer's door already grounded. And that level of steady preparation requires an environment of unclaimed time. It requires that sanctuary where nobody's asking anything of him.
This deep dive reveals that the habits we construct around our schedule are rarely just about time management. They are mechanisms for psychological control.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks. They turn a mundane, daily chore into a structural foundation for your mental health. It is a daily practice of proving to your own brain that you are the one steering the ship.
It all comes down to taking ownership. I mean, Dave found his sanctuary at 5 a.m., because that happens to be the only time the phones in Kingfisher, Oklahoma are quiet enough to let him think.
Right.
That is when his Pacific world leaves him alone. But it poses a fascinating question for the rest of us, something for you to think about. We live in a world where technology ensures someone, somewhere, can always reach you.
The global clock never actually stops ticking.
No, it doesn't. The emails and notifications flow constantly.
Yeah.
So how much longer will a natural sanctuary like 5:00 a.m. even exist?
That's a scary thought.
As our environment morphs into a 247 state of connection and constant emergency, where are you going to have to hide to find that 1 hour of true psychological ownership?
The noise of the world is only increasing, which means finding that silence requires much more intentionality than it used to.
It requires actively building walls around your time. So maybe forget the tech billionaires, forget the cold plunges, and stop worrying about what the clock says. Focus on finding your specific hour, putting on the raincoat, and claiming your day before the world claims it for you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.